Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmadgurubhyo Namaha Shrutismritipurananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakrtau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishwaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shri Medha Dakshinamurti Swamine Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvam Anusandadami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudramarutah Stunvanti Divyai Stavaihi Vedai Sankapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tatgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidussura Suragana Devaya Rasmai Namaha Om. So namaste once again everyone.
Namaste Guruji, Pranam.
Pranam, namaste. We are on the 7th mantra of the 8th chapter. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha mayyarpitamanu buddhihi mame vaishyasya samshayam. So, answering the 7th question of Arjuna from the 5th verse onwards of this chapter, Lord Krishna is dealing with the topic of Antakala Ishvara Smaranam. The significance of remembering God at the time of death. And as a part of this topic, Krishna is dealing with Saguna Ishvara Upasanam, meditation upon the Lord with attributes. And here, the Upasaka that is kept in mind is Nishkama Upasaka. An Upasaka who has only got spiritual goal, who does not have materialistic desires, or to put it another language, who has got Vairagyam. And as we saw, this Nishkama Upasaka can take two different courses of life. One is practicing Nishkama Upasana for some time and thereafter switching over to the sadhana, to the Vedanta Vichara or Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam. So from Saguna to Nirguna, from Upasana to Jnanam. And this Jnanam is in the form of Vedanta Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. And therefore, by following that Jnana Yoga, a person gets liberation here and now. which is called Jivan Muktihi or Sadhyo Muktihi, liberation or moksha, here and now, in this life itself, while living itself. But Krishna doesn't go further about the Jivan Mukti topic, which is reserving for the 9th chapter. But here, he is talking about another course, an alternative course that the Nishkama Upasaka can take to. And in this alternative route, the Upasaka continues the Nishkama Saguna Ishvara Upasana throughout his life without coming to Vedanta Vichara or Nirguna Ishvara. That could be of so many reasons. Rather. We are not bothered about the reason. Either he feels he is not subtle enough, his mind is not subtle enough, or qualified enough to appreciate Nirguna, or he might not have an appropriate Acharya to enter into Vedanta Vichara, or even he might not have sufficient health for that. Because Vedanta Vichara requires a good health, a sharp intellect, thinking capacity, and tons of patience. Application, perseverance, all that is required. So, due to any obstacle, a person may not be able to come to Nirguna Ishvara Vichara. In which case, he continues in Saguna Ishvara, but as Nishkama Upasana with Vairagyam for Ishvara Praptihi. And Krishna says, naturally, since he has got a great value for Ishvara Praptihi, at the time of death also, his mind dwells upon what he values most, what he considers as top priority in his life. Because for a Nishkama Upasaka, Ishvara Prapti is the top priority. And therefore, at the time of death also, he remembers. And as a result of that, the person after death leaves the physical body here, carries the subtle body, and also the causal body, goes to Brahmaloka. And in Brahmaloka, he has to enter into Nirguna Ishvara Vichara. There he cannot escape. He has no escape from Vedanta in Brahmaloka. So, if not now, you have to definitely come to Vedanta without any escape at some time or the other. So, Nirguna Ishvara Vichara, nobody can escape because that is the ultimate route to liberation. And in Brahmaloka, he is supposed to get Jnanam. And as a result of that Jnanam, he attains liberation, which is called Krama Muktihi. And it is this Krama Mukti topic which Krishna is dealing with throughout this 8th chapter. And therefore, we should remember in the 8th chapter, Nirguna Ishvara Jnanam is not the subject matter. That is kept aside for the time being, reserved for discussions in the 9th chapter. And now, naturally, the question will come. How can a person remember Lord at the time of death? How can I remember? Because I may not have any control over myself. Now itself, whether I have control over myself for Ishvara Smaranam is doubtful. How can I remember Ishvara at the time of death? Because there may be so many circumstances. For example, before death, I suffer some ailment, admitted to the hospital. Then I am put on, that ventilator and all. I am sedated. Mind is still there, but it is not working. It is in sedation. How can in such a mind I can recall Ishvara? All those questions are there. For that, Krishna answers that if your devotion is so committed that it goes to your subconscious mind, then remembering Ishvara at the time of death, even when you are under sedation, will become effortless. Because what happens, whether it is in our dream, that is when we are sleeping in dream, or even when we are, reacting to certain situations, certain experiences, what comes out is what is there in our subconscious mind. So even if the conscious mind is not functioning for whatever reason, then the subconscious mind takes over. Therefore, by conscious meditation, if a person pushes the Ishvara Smarana to the subconscious mind at the time of death, even if the conscious mind is not operative, from the subconscious mind, whatever is there in saturation, that will surface. And therefore, his advice to Arjuna is, remember me all the time and fight. With your mind and intellect fixed upon me, you will attain me alone doubtlessly. And this is what he says in this 7th shloka, which we read in the last class. I think we saw the Anvaya and also the word meanings. I said we will discuss it in this class. Okay. So Krishna says, therefore, Arjuna, my advice to you is, Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara. Therefore, Arjuna, may you always remember me every moment of your life. Then alone your subconscious will be saturated with my thought. And of course, there will be people who will ask a very, very relevant question. What is that? They will ask, if I remember the Lord all the time, how can I do my family duties, office duties, etc.? Because I have to apply my mind to my duties also. Suppose you work in a bank. Because my career, I'm in a banker, so I'm able to relate to this example. You work in a bank or you are busy counting notes. Of course, these days, there are note counting machines and all. But during my days in a bank, we used to count the notes physically. Especially after the customer transactions are over, we would have received a lot of cash. And those cash have to be sorted out into denominations, then counted and bundled as 100 notes. Then two people will have to sign. They have both have to count and sign that I have counted and this is containing, because money where it is involved, any fraud can take place. Then those counted notes are stitched together so that they don't get separated, and then that is put in the safe, the vault of the bank. So all this, was a very, very big task after the closing of the bank hours. And you need to have full concentration because you are counting the notes very fast. If you don't concentrate on that, the counting will go wrong with its own consequences. Wrong accounting, then you have to find the difference. For finding the difference, if there is, then again you have to count everything. Where did I go wrong? All that. And therefore, even in this one small instance, how am I to remember the Lord all the time? Is Krishna suggesting that I should drop all things? I should become a sannyasi. So that right from morning till night, I have no other job. I can remember God or Krishna only. For that, Krishna says, I do not ask you to drop your duty, your responsibilities, your worldly activities. I do not ask you to drop. You have to continue that also. That is why he says, Yudhyacha. And this is very, very important in this context because Krishna knows that Arjuna is trying to escape from the war. Now, when Krishna says, Mameva Anusmara, Sarveshu Kaleshu Mameva Anusmara, Arjuna gets a wonderful chance. He will say, okay, very good, Krishna. So I will go away from there. I'll go. In any case, I have been wanting to get away from this battle. So I will go and sit down in one place under some tree or something in some forest, and then close my eyes and then have a this dhyana mudra, and then say Rama 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 Rama, Krishna 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 Krishna, whatever it is. So Krishna knows that this will be the thought running in Arjuna's mind. And therefore he immediately says, Yudhyacha. Apart from remembering all the time, you have to fight also. And for Arjuna, the advice to fight is because that is his job. But hearing this, we should all not start fighting, You should not go to your spouse and start fighting. Why? Krishna said so. Yudhyacha, so I fight. No. Even if Krishna does not say, even otherwise we keep fighting with each other, isn't it? So here the word Yudhyacha is symbolic of Swadharma Anushtanam. So may you follow or fulfill your duties, discharge your duties also. So now again the question, how can I do two jobs simultaneously? You ask me to perform my duty also. You ask me to remember the Lord also. How can I do both of them? The mind can do only one job at a time. Suppose I am a teacher in a school or a college, and I want to follow Krishna's advice of Sarveshu Kaleshu Mam Anusmara. So all the time, remembering the Lord, I keep saying Krishna, 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 continuously. Now I have to teach geography to my students. So I show the world map, tell the students, Krishna, 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 this is the world map, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And Krishna, 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 this is the Indian subcontinent, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And Krishna, 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 this is the called Indian Ocean. How funny how it will look like, isn't it? Students may get irritated and even walk out of the class. So Arjuna can legitimately ask Bhagavan, see, when I am fighting, you say I should fight, and also remember you. How can I do two things at the same time? When I am fighting, I am focusing on fighting. My mind is engaged in all the strategies that I have to come up with. How I should attack. with what I should attack, all that. So what do you mean by doing both simultaneously? No doubt, even though there are many people who claim they do multitasking, the result will be shown. They cannot do any one task also properly and completely. And therefore, a conscious mind cannot do two jobs simultaneously. It has to be committed to only one thing at a time. But even when the conscious mind is dedicated to some work, in the subconscious mind, in the background, we should be clear about the ultimate priorities of life. And this, we have experienced. Suppose you love Carnatic music. And suppose you have just now heard a beautiful composition, let's say in Kalyani Raga, beautiful composition. And you are doing some job. Say you are a, what they call, homemaker. That is the terminology. That is the politically correct terminology, homemaker. And you are engaged in cooking. So you will find that your conscious mind is engaged in cooking. But that Kalyani Raga, that Kirtana will still be playing in your subconscious mind, in the background. In fact, I have personally experienced when I started learning, the Vedas, that is the Karma Kanda, Veda Purva Bhaga, Purusha Suktam, then Rudram, Chamakam, etc. When I learned, I used to find that wherever it is, traveling in a car, that Rudram, Chamakam and all will come and I will start chanting. And once my son, you also used to accompany me to the Veda class. He told me, Appa, you are not supposed to chant all these things while traveling and all that. Because you have to have certain discipline for chanting Veda mantras. This is my son teaching me. But the point I'm trying to make is, when something goes into your subconscious mind, it will automatically play throughout your, even when the conscious mind is engaged in something else. So what Krishna wants to say here is, let your goal be very much remembered in the background at all times. And therefore, the subconscious can have Ishvara Chintanam. Conscious mind can perform worldly duties. And when you have time away from worldly duties, at that time, your conscious mind also engages in Ishvara Chintanam. So Ishvara Chintanam should be like, as Swami Paramathananda says, Tanpura Shruti. You know Tanpura, the music, classical music concerts and all. They have this Shruti. One person will be sitting with the Tanpura and then he will go on, playing the Shruti. It will always, throughout that, it will be playing in the background. And when the singer sings a song, he or she ensures that his singing is in tune with the Shruti. Therefore, for singing, the conscious mind is involved. But in the background, the Tanpura Shruti is kept in mind. We all know this because whenever we listen to all those concerts and all, if there is an apashruti, if the singer is not singing in tune with the shruti, it will be jarring for the ears. We will not be able to listen to that music. We will criticize that singer. So, if that is possible for a musician, why not us performing our duties? In fact, Swami Paramathanandaji gives another beautiful example of a train journey. a long distance train journey in India. For other countries, I don't know. Seldom traveled by train in other countries. But in India, of course, I've traveled enough. Many of you would have. The trains, long distance trains, they will stop at a number of intermediate stations. And when you are traveling in the train, you will get down in the intermediate station to buy something, maybe a newspaper, a magazine, some eatables, etc. But all the while, you will have this thought that you should finish this purchase quickly and get back into the train. Else the train will leave you and go away. So you do everything, but in one corner of the mind, you remember that you have to get back into the train quickly. And the beauty is, if you even hear some engine horn of another train, or a bell or a whistle, you will panic because you will think that it is your train that is about to leave. Therefore, this thought will always be there at the back of your mind that this is an intermediate station. It is not my destination. For whatever purpose I have got down from the train, I should finish it quickly, get back into the train before it starts leaving so that I can reach my destination. And destination is Ishvara Prapti in the case of what we are discussing. So in the same way, we do everything, earn money, get married, nothing wrong, have children, bring them up, have them married. One baby sitting you have already done. Your children are married, they are abroad, US, Canada and all that. They call you for the second round of babysitting of your grandchildren. Do everything as required. But in and through all of them, let not the primary goal be forgotten. Let not the destination of your life be forgotten. Therefore, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu anusmara mam. May you remember me, the goal of your life, and also continue to perform your duties. And further he says, Mayar pita mano buddhihi. So, with your mind and intellect committed to me, mind and intellect means what? Your emotional personality. So, your emotional personality is committed to the Lord, by which Krishna means let your emotional needs also be fulfilled through Ishvara. Learn to emotionally depend upon God rather than depending on the mortals around. Because I do not know how long the mortals will be around. After all, they are mortals. Therefore, how can I heavily lean on something whose availability is unpredictable and then make my life risky? And therefore, love everyone, take care of everyone, your spouse, your children, etc. But for your emotional need, may you depend upon your Saguna Ishvara. That is called emotional application. So if you see the songs of Saint Tyagaraja, most of the time you will find in and through all his songs, he talks only with Rama. Because to talk to others is a headache. He knows that. And therefore, any conversation, any talk, he does with Rama alone. So you can also talk to your Lord. Whatever your emotional issues are there, you can talk, you can converse with Bhagavan. Complain to him. Of course, You should do this either in your mind or in a closed room. Otherwise, people may think that, after attending Gita classes and all, something has gone wrong. Some screws have become loose. And therefore, do not do it openly. Behind closed doors, you do. But that is perfectly all right. If you want, see, if your emotional issues, emotional problems, you share it with other people, other mortals, you always run the risk of a certain kind of reaction coming from them. And this, I have observed at least in many cases between husband and wife. The wife will have a lot of emotional issues. And she will narrate them to the husband. Her intention is not to get a solution. Because as used to those days, Pati Parameshwar. So she feels by, downloading all her emotional issues, problems with the husband, she will be able to lighten the burden in her mind. This is the many, these days, the modern generation, I don't know, maybe they will not do that. But in my generation and all, this was a very common thing. Women tell things to men not for any solution. They just want somebody to listen to their problems. They want someone to appreciate, someone to empathize. That's all. But what the husband does? He doesn't understand this. Now he will start giving solution to the problem that she has said. And many times, willy-nilly, he will end up saying all your emotional problems are because of your own doing. You are to be blamed for everything, and that is how the fight begins. So now, of course, if you don't want to share it, well, there's a risk. If you share it with your husband, there is a risk. Because men are solution-oriented people. In fact, if you compare, men and women, Bhagavan has made, differently wired them rather. If we understand it right at the beginning, when we just get married, the marriage will be very smooth. But 99% people don't understand this. And they get into all sorts of problems, fighting and stuff. Anyhow, I'm going away from the topic. So, this is all examples of emotional application. So, Krishna says, make sure that you are able to download all your emotional issues to the Saguna Ishvara, your Ishta Devata, and also Buddhim. He says, may you be rationally also convinced, because physical personal God symbolizes the truth, symbolizes immortality, symbolizes love, symbolizes compassion, symbolizes steadiness. Therefore, the physical form we do not say is the ultimate truth, but the physical form represents the highest reality. And you have to be convinced about that. That is called intellectual conviction. And therefore, once you are able to appreciate the abstract truth, then the God with any form is optional for you. You have it, enjoy it. You don't have it, then until you have it, until you have the appreciation of the abstract truth, if you require a support, an alambanam, a pratika, a symbol, use the Saguna Ishvara. And therefore, This person is emotionally hooked to Ishvara, he is intellectually convinced, and Mam eva yeshyasi. If you follow this lifestyle, you will certainly attain me alone, says Krishna. And he adds one very important word, asamshayam. Krishna gives a guarantee. He says, do not doubt me, because we know the other people's guarantee what it is. Somebody said, the politicians are those who shake your hands before your election and shake your confidence after elections. So we know that nobody in the world is reliable. And willy-nilly, we extend that to the God also. So Krishna says, don't put me in that pedestal, don't put me in that category. I am reliable. Take my words. Undoubtedly, what I am saying is true. Asamshayam. Then Krishna continues. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa nanyagaminam paramam purusham divyam yati parthanu chintayan. So the Anvaya is, He Partha, Anuchintayan Purusham Chetasa Na Anyagamina Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Yati Divyam Paramam. He Partha, O Arjuna, Anuchintayan Purusham, constantly thinking of the Lord. Chetasa, with a mind. Na Anyagamina, undistracted. Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena, due to the constant practice of meditation, Yati, one attains, Divyam, the divine, Paramam, the supreme Lord. So Arjuna, constantly thinking of the Lord with a mind that is undistracted, due to the practice of meditation, one attains the divine supreme Lord. So here we have to supply Prayana Kale, because that is the subject matter which is what Krishna is discussing. So we should say, because Krishna doesn't say, he has already said it in the previous sloka, so he is continuing. So he assumes that you will connect it. So for our sake, we will say Prayana Kale, at the time of death. A Saguna Upasaka Anuchintayan remembers the Lord. What type of Lord? Paramam Purusham Divyam. The Lord which is the highest reality. And the Lord who is known as Purusha. But the word Purusha has got two meanings. One meaning is Pure Shete iti Purusha, the one who resides in the heart of everyone. Because Pure or Puri means the body. Shete means dwells, resides. So Purusha is the indweller of all. This is one meaning. And the second meaning is Purayati Sarvam iti Purusha. Purayati means one who spreads, one who fills up the whole world. From that only the word Purnam comes. So that all-pervading indweller who is Paramam, the absolute reality, and Divyam. Divyam means the one who is Chaitanya Swarupam. So that Lord, the Saguna Upasaka, remembers Antakale, Prayana Kale, at the time of death. How Chetasa, with a mind. What type of mind? Abhyasa yoga yuktena, which has got the strength of practice, regular exercise, because the mind is able to do, the mind has regularly rehearsed. Abhyasa means practice, repetitive practice. Abhyasa yoga means the sadhana of abhyasa. As they say, practice makes a man perfect. So that practice, a person endowed with that kind of a practice is called abhyasa yoga yuktena. A mind which is endowed with the strength of the practice, the support of the practice, with such a mind. And what is the another speciality of such a mind? Na anyagamina. So a mind which is undistracted, with such a mind, the Saguna Upasaka remembers me. And Yati. It is very, very natural. It is not extraordinary. Because we have already seen Appaya Dikshitar's example, isn't it? In the last class. How the subconscious is completely filled with the thought of Bhagavan only. And there is another anecdote about the mathematics prodigy Ramanujam, Srinivasa Ramanujam, which Swami Paramathananda relates. As we all may know, Ramanujam died at a very young age. He was suffering from some disease, TB or something, I don't know. And he was in his deathbed, and somebody went and he asked him what was his car number. Of course, somebody is dying. It's a very funny question to ask at the time of death. Nowadays, we will be more interested in the bank account number, banking password, net banking password, etc. But this is an anecdote, so we have to take it, at its value. So this Ramanujam was asked about the number of his car. And when he said that number, he said that this was the only number which has got two different cube root form or something like that. Mathematically, it was a very unique number. So at the time of death also, he remembered the uniqueness of his car number.
1729 was the number.
Yeah, so you know that good. Thanks for the information.
10 cube plus 9 cube, 12 cube plus 1 cube.
Okay, that is the number. Huh? Oh, wonderful. Thank you for, because I didn't figure out. First of all, I didn't know what was the number and how it is unique, So that's good news because 1729 was the number. It is what that? 10 cube plus
9 cube. 9 cube.
9 cube plus
10 cube.
Okay.
1729.
Okay.
Then 12 cube plus 1 cube.
Is also 1729.
29.
Okay. So that is a very unique number. So how was able to do that? Because of Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. So whatever you love, your mind automatically will think of that only. If you have valued the highest truth, Bhagavan, then you would automatically think of that. And thinking of that God, Yati. Yati means what? That person will attain or merge into the Lord. So thinking of God, he merges into the God. And here merges means what? It means krama muktim prapnoti. And that is why our thoughts are very important. In the last class also I mentioned, the chain, how thoughts create a character, the chain of, how it goes about rather. The thought is the starting point which culminates in the destiny of a person. So it is not enough that we watch our words, but it is more important that we constantly watch our thoughts and constantly practice thinking about God always. Because if you actually, I don't know how many of you have experienced, when we are alone, many thoughts come in our mind. And we very well know some of those thoughts are not the thoughts that we want to entertain. They may be, thoughts relating to some sort of somebody has insulted you. That thought, oh, that fellow said something. I must take revenge. This kind of thoughts, can come. But we don't like those thoughts because we want to have a very clean mind. So when we are going about attaining this chitta shuddhi, all these things we have to take care. Keep watching the thoughts very carefully. When you are doing meditation, when you are doing sandhya vandanam and all that, no unnecessary thought should come. But it keeps coming. So what you should do, you must pray to Bhagavan. Please help me to get rid of such thoughts. Please help me to ensure that such thoughts don't come back in my mind. And therefore, even in and through all that, we must constantly practice thinking about God always. And therefore, Krishna's advice to Arjuna and to all of us is lead an alert life from now itself with a mind which is strengthened by Abhyasa Yoga, with an undistracted mind. When a person remembers the Lord at the time of his or her death, he or she will attain Krama Mukti. Now, next sloka. Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram Anoraniyan Samanusmaredyah Sarvasya Dhataramachintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasaf Parastat. In fact, this sloka should be taken up along with the next sloka, but it's okay. I will deal with them separately. Wherever required, we will add supply something so that, because this sloka from a grammatical point of view is incomplete. It gets completed in the next sloka. So from there we will borrow and complete this sloka for our purposes. Okay. So the Anvaya is Yaha Anusmaret Kavim Puranam Anushasitaram Aniyamsam Anoho Dhataram Sarvasya Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Parastat Tamasaha. Yaha Anusmaret. One who thinks of the Lord at the time of death, that we should understand. And that's what we are all discussing, right? Kavim, who is omniscient. Puranam, ageless. Anushasitaram, the ruler of all. Aniyamsam Anoho, subtler than an atom. Dhataram Sarvasya, the sustainer of all. Achintya Rupam, incomprehensible. Aditya Varnam, effulgent like the sun. Parastat Tamasaha, and beyond ignorance. So you see, the sentence is incomplete. So you can say, one who thinks of the Lord, who is the ruler of all and sustainer of all, etc., etc., then what? That is said in the next sloka. So when we come to that, we will supply that and complete this. Okay. So one who thinks of the Lord at the time of death attains the Lord. who's omniscient, the ruler of all, subtler than atom, sustainer of all, incomprehensible, effulgent like the sun, and beyond ignorance. So here, Krishna talks about the attributes of the Lord who is remembered by the Nishkama Upasaka at the time of death. Ishwara Gunah. Or you can say Ishwara Kalyana Vishesha. What are the attributes that are mentioned here? Each word is an attribute of the Lord. Kavim, Puranam, Anushasitaram, Anoha Aniyam, Sarvasya Dhataram, Achintya Rupam, Aditya Varnam, Tamasapparat. 8 attributes are mentioned. So from this, one more thing is clear. That the Nishkama Upasaka must be in touch with the scriptures. Because these are all attributes which are described in the scriptures. Otherwise, he will not know these things. So, scriptural study is very, very important. Whether you want Krama Mukti or you want Sadhyo Mukti, both ways. So, what are the attributes? Kavihi. Kavihi means Sarvajnaha, omniscient. The all-illuminating principle. Because as we have seen earlier also, the Lord is seen as the total mind. So Kavihi means the omniscient one. Puranaha, the most ancient one. What does it mean? The one who is never created. The one who is the creator of everyone, but one who himself is uncreated. And therefore Puranam. Ancient one we can translate. We must not confuse with Bhagawad Puranam or Skanda Puranam, etc. Not in that sense. Here Puranam is used as an adjective. Of course, our Puranams are also Puranams only. Because they are also ancient ones. So they are also called Puranam. But here the word Puranam, contextually we must take it as the Lord who is ancient one, who is not created by anyone. He is never created. Next is Anushasitaram. Anushasita means the one who gives karma phala to all the jivas. Of course, according to the laws of karma. And when we talk about the laws of karma, we not only take into account the physical laws, but most importantly, we take into account the moral laws also. So in keeping with all those laws, the one who gives the karma phalam, therefore karma phala dhata hai. Then the one who is anoho aniyamsham, the one who is subtler than even the subtlest atom, which means the one who is not available for any sense organs or any sensory perception. So the one who is beyond Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa and Gandha. We are seeing all these things in Mundaka Upanishad also, isn't it? That's why, Bhagavad Gita is nothing but a summary of the Upanishads. And it is nice because knowledge gained from one text will be reinforced by the other text. So not available for any sensory perception. From this, it is very clear that a physical form that we attribute to the Lord is only symbolic. As we have discussed earlier also, like a national flag. Flag is not India, but the flag represents India. Similarly, God with form represents the formless reality, the formless beauty, the formless immortality, the formless peace, the formless security. In fact, everything that we seek in life, that is symbolized as God. Because these are the things we seek, isn't it? Peace we want, security we seek, fullness we seek. All these are all abstract goals. And these abstract goals can concretely be symbolized as the physical God. And therefore, Anoha Aniyamsam, whose real nature is formlessness. And then the second line, Sarvasya Dhataram, the one who is substratum, the support of the entire creation, being the very cause of this creation. Just as the ocean is the very substratum for all waves and bubbles. They all rise in the ocean, rest in the ocean, and resolve into the ocean. Similarly, the Lord is Vishwa Adharam. And in the Vedatic context, we use the word Sadrupam, Satta, the one who is the very existence principle. In Chandogya Upanishad, it is said, Sadeva Saumya Idamagra Asid Ekameva Dvitiyam. Then Imaha Saumya Nadyaha Purastat Prachyaha Sandante Paschat Pratijyastaha. These are all, you have to chant these mantras regularly, then only you will get the pronunciation correctly. So, in the Upanishad, the Lord is presented as the very existence principle which supports all. But to understand that existence principle, we require a subtle mind. And therefore, we symbolize Sat in a particular form. But existence as such, the pure existence, has no form at all. Therefore, Sarvasya Dhataram. And Achintya Rupam, the one who is incomprehensible, the one who is beyond our thoughts, the one who cannot be objectified by the mind. And for this, one can give many reasons. The mind can visualize only the attributes. Mind is an instrument meant to study only the attributes. And therefore, the mind cannot function in a field where attributes are not there. Just as a best car cannot move in an ocean, and the best ship cannot move in the land, where they are not meant for that. Similarly, mind is not meant for a field which is beyond attributes. And therefore, the mind cannot conceive that. And the second reason is God cannot be ultimately objectified because God happens to be the very subject who objectifies everything. So such unobjectifiable God is temporarily objectified by adding the attributes. The Upanishad says, Nirvishesham Parabrahma Sakshat Kartum Anishwaraha Ye Manta Te Anukampyante Savishesha Nirupanaihi. For those people who cannot conceive the attributeless truth, in fact, Upanishads calls them Mandar. Mandar means people with low intellect. For them, the Upanishad comes down and presents the attributed God. So stepping over the attributed God, we have to go to the attributeless. And therefore, achintya rupam. Next word is aditya varnam, which we will see in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyawad everyone. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Hmm.
Wish you in advance happy Vishu on Monday.
Yeah, same to you. Of course, we will be meeting on Monday for the
Yes, other class.
Upanishad class. But in advance, yes, happy Vishu, happy New Year, Tamil New Year to all of you. May
Thank
the
you very much, Guruji.
year
Namaskaram.
bring all prosperity. May you further progress in the path of spirituality.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hari Om.
Namaskaram.
Namaskar.
Namaskaram. Namaskar. Oh,
Thank
Sita,
you very much.
today.
Hari Om. Thank you.
You're back in India?
No, still in Cambodia. I'll
Oh.
be back on Monday.
Okay. Right. Okay.
This Purusha Suktam had this Aditya Varnam Tamasat Parastat.
Yes. Purusha Suktam.
This one, nothing to do with today's class. Just when I was thinking, I got a doubt between this Stula Sariram, Sukshma Sariram, and Atman. Stula Sariram, gross body, Sukshma Sariram, subtle body, and Atma is subtlest. Is this correct? That my understanding right?
Yeah, I'm absolutely right. But in between, there is one more shariram called Karana Shariram.
Okay.
Because grossest is the physical body.
Okay.
Subtler is the Sukshma Shariram.
Sukshma Sariram is all your mind.
All your faculties, they are all Sukshma Shariram, which you can only understand they are there, but you cannot see them. Isn't it? Your mind, can you see your mind?
Yeah.
You can't. But you know that you have got a mind because you are able to think. So, those are subtle. Then Karana Shariram is more subtle than Sukshma Shariram. Where Karana Shariram is the hard disk where all our karmas are stored. So, we cannot access that hard disk at all. Only Bhagavan can access that Karana Shariram. And on the basis of what is stored in the Karana Shariram, only we get the karma phala. Then the subtlest is Atma. And in the case of a Jiva, what is the Atma? It is reflected consciousness. The consciousness itself you cannot see or experience. How can you experience reflected consciousness? So that is the subtlest. Anoraniyan. In fact, the Upanishad says Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan, it says. Very contradictory statement it will appear. Anoraniyan means subtlest than the subtlest. Mahato Mahiyan means the largest than the largest. What does it mean? Because consciousness pervades the entire world. It is largest of the whole world put together also is, the consciousness is bigger than that. Mahato Mahiyan. Anoraniyan, because it is not perceivable by any of our sense organs. It's so subtle. So that is the Upanishad's definition which gives. And that is what here Krishna has taken, Anoha Aniyam Sam, he says, is taken from that only. All these are taken from Upanishads and, Purusha Suktam, etc. only.
Okay.
That is how it is.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Nice. I think when what is being said makes more sense to you, you feel that class is very nice. But then all classes have been nice. But then this chapter where Krishna is advocating Saguna Upasana as as a way towards, as a step towards the mokshatva. So that's this not this particular thing. What I'm saying is not a doubt, but I do have another doubt. This is what Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he advocated everyone, that in Kali Yuga, Annamaya Kosha, Pradhanya is for Annamaya Kosha. So Bhakti Marga and Namasmaranam is the easiest one for the people at large. So a couple of devotees, when they go there, one lady says, one old elderly lady says, my mind is always on my grandson because his parents are not there. My mind is always on my grandson. So how can I meditate, or how can I pray to someone else? He says, you see your Ishtadevata in your grandson, so that you're all the time thinking of your Ishtadevata. And another lady says, my only livelihood is from my goat. And he says, you see your Ishtadevata in your goat itself. So that again, you're all the time thinking of your Ishtadevata. I think that's what, whatever you're doing, see your Ishtadevata in whatever you're doing.
Yes.
Guruji, this, I'm not sure whether my doubt is a real doubt. Now, when we say consciousness is the witness principle, do we say it as a witness principle?
Yeah, it's a witness
Yeah.
principle. It is the Sakshi Chaitanyam, we say, no. What is Sakshi is witness.
Mm.
So whatever is happening, who is witnessing? Question will arise. Is
No,
your-
my question here is if witnessing is also a karma, it's also an act. So, but then we say Brahman is a karta and abhokta. So the some of the witness and witnessing is not not making sense in my head.
Witnessing is not a karma.
Mm.
Karma
Just the
somebody is
presence,
doing, it is just observing. That's all. And why we say consciousness is a witness? Because we will say my eyes are witness, like we have court and all, no, eyewitnesses and all that, right? What enables all these organs, our mind, our intellect, to function? Consciousness.
The reflected Atman, or the consciousness, yeah.
So that is why we say consciousness is the witness to everything.
Mm.
And actually, in our childhood, I don't know whether it has happened with you, with me, it has happened. Whenever, we try to do something wrong,
Yeah, God is
we'll say,
seeing.
oh, don't do it, Bhagavan is watching, Bhagavan is watching. What does that Bhagavan is watching means? You will get punished for that, right? But then for us, Bhagavan is Rama, Krishna, etc.
Mm.
So, but at least that is a deterrent for children to, not to behave otherwise. So this witness concept it is not an act. Witnessing means you are just there.
Presence.
Seeing.
Okay.
You are seeing something happening, correct? And
Right.
that seeing, that experiencing, that is all being enabled by the consciousness. And that is why we say Sakshi Chaitanyam. It is standing aloof from the karma, from either doing the karma or enjoying the fruits of the karma. All that is done by the jiva.
Mm-hmm.
What consciousness does is witness all that. So that is how we have to understand when we say Sakshi Chaitanyam or witness consciousness, etc.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything on its own, but it enables. Now, by witnessing, what does the consciousness do? You may ask. It does nothing. It can't do anything. Consciousness cannot say, oh, this fellow has committed a murder, so I should go and report to somebody. Consciousness cannot do that. It has witnessed that murder, but it cannot go and report to anybody. So these are all subtle things that we need to understand when we are, studying Vedanta. And
Okay, Guruji.
consciousness is what? That is you. So
Yes.
ultimately, who is the witness? The subject is the witness. Everything else other than the subject is an object, right? When you come to the subject-object duality, you can divide the whole world into a subject and object.
Mm.
Objects are the ones which are experienced. Subject is the experiencer, right?
Yes, Guruji.
That is why we say consciousness is Atma Swarupam. Because even when we say I am witnessing, it is not that my eyes are witnessing or ears are witnessing. They are all being, they are only enablers to witness, for the conscious to witness what is going on. So you have to go back, and that's why Brahman and Atma are equated. Brahman at the macro level, Atma at the Jiva level. They are equated. We'll see all that Upanishad. These themes keep running again and again and again. So we will keep, because that requires.
That's just interestingly, I was trying to look for the explanation of I don't remember which shloka of Adi Shankaracharya ji, and it was when I was trying to find out, the talk by Swami Paramarthananda ji came up, and there he was describing everything in the world can be defined in only two sentences. It is you or not you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything, including when you say you, including your mind, all your Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram,
Yeah.
not you.
Yeah.
That
That's
you must
what
understand.
that's what he was explaining.
That is what it is.
Okay, Guruji. Dhanyawad. Thank you very much.
Dhanyavadaha.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Any other question? If not, then I will close the session. Okay. Okay, Hari Om, everybody.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.
Thank you, Hari Om.